48-hour art check, round 46. 48-hour art check! Here we are again.
Yes.
46.
Here we are, full of stormlight, ready to bear our
Have you finished the
our
third
shards.
Have you finished the third book?
I am so I think I'm so in the area you were talking about, where things get really weird but awesome weird.
Right.
And there's like some pretty epic adventure and some pretty cool stuff happening.
Just for all the viewers or listeners or whatever, we're talking about Brandon Sanderson's book, Oathbringer, which is the third book in the Stormlight Archives series. And there is one part of that book that I won't give anything away, but like I just want to see this one part as like a 20-minute movie. That's it. And it's this battle. It is one of the best written battles that I've ever read or seen or heard about, or just because like the fanboy in me, there's one part. Yeah. There's been like 120 hours of audiobook leading up to something. And it is so satisfying. Oh, dang, I got to plug my phone in. I'm super excited. So maybe if you think you're there after we turn this off, we can talk about it. Because it's one of those things I don't want to spoil for anybody.
Yeah. I can just say it's gotten to a point where there have been a few I've been driving and been like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's good. Because like all the threads are kind of presented and are going to be tied, and it's pretty, it's like that beautiful part. It's a good reminder to me of like a well-structured story and how good that payoff can be when it's like all these wonderful kind of threads have been put out, and now they start being tied together for like a pretty good climax from what it looks like. It's pretty epic. Yeah, I love it. And it's super nerdy in like the best of ways. And it like gets even more nerdy. So if we like even spoiled it right now, we would sound pretty like we'd have to like up our game from like a 12-sided to like we might even start getting into like 24-sided die with this guy at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's so good. It's really good. And you guys should all read it and let us know in the comments what you think. And because Cory got me into it, and I'm a nerd now for it.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Great.
All right, so let's do the check.
Okay, do you want to go first, or I can't remember? Are we doing whoever hosts is going first?
I don't remember, but I'll go first.
Sounds good.
So I am still working on the rough pencils for this page, which you can see on the left. And I pretty much am trying to at least get like a row of those little doodles done a day. And like in theory, like when I'm done with this, the entire floor will be covered with those pages. So I think it's going to be effective, but it's really time consuming to do. And I'm not quite where I wanted to be, but I'm understanding why I'm not there. So, yeah.
Yeah, that looks great. That's really cool. Okay, I have a setup here. This is not a green screen. This is the sign that I printed. These are my postcards. These are my prints that I have. And then I have my tablecloth in Illotak yellow. I've got my sandbags, I've got my grid wall, and I've got my cart thing. 30 seconds. That's what I've done in the last few days.
That is amazing. That looks like a big challenge too, actually. But so my challenge is just like we're wrapping up catalog at my work, and like it's all this convention prep for like one of the biggest conventions of the year. And we're finally kind of getting over the hurdle of that, but it's just a lot of work. So that's kind of been pretty exhausting and time consuming. It's hard to have the juice when you get home.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, you're doing a huge amount of overtime as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's its own work. Challenge for me. Still have an infinite sleep schedule. I've actually accidentally inverted my sleep schedule so that I'm nocturnal now, which is going to be hard, and everything is just weird. And then just like more days of not doing art and doing file prep and whatever. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I get it. The cool thing is you're doing that legwork now, and it's paying off, man. That banner, I'm gonna get your printer's info again because that's pretty good.
It's pretty.
And I'm gonna need one soon. Yeah, so my plans are to hopefully, I would hope I'm at least like halfway, if not done, with the rough pencils on this page. So that's pretty much my big plan. And then I need to track a song with my band on Monday that like the guy recording us accidentally had all the mics set to stereo, which is not good when you're recording live and need everything isolated. So
right. I have identified several more literary agents that I'm going to go after, and so I'm just taking notes and figuring out how I want to do that. I'm prepping the 10 Cut Sparrow book to print 10 copies of it, and so doing like bleeds and all that jazz that I need to do for that, and just making sure all my links are good. And then I do this show next week. And so I'm just like finishing stuff up. I think I'm going to do a video on the actual finances of this because I've always found those really helpful. When people talk vaguely about the money that it takes to do stuff, it's kind of helpful. But when people are like, open the kimono and say, here's everything, I kind of want to do that. And so I don't know. I might be shooting myself in the foot. It makes me feel a little bit vulnerable to say some of that publicly, but I do think it'll be helpful. So I'm kind of planning on doing a video like that.
Yeah, and I think being transparent about that kind of thing will be helpful. Like for me, I know just for myself, being a cartoonist, like I want to see when I get back to conventioning, I'm going to need to do a grid wall. And I've never done a grid wall. Like that's something I've never done at conventions, but I'm noticing that seems to be the most effective way to kind of display prints.
Yeah.
And so like if you get into like the cost and the setup and kind of like the planning and stuff, I think that would be, I'd find that helpful. So I don't think that's a huge gamble. I think you'll do well by kind of sharing that info with people.
Yeah. And I think my hesitation is, that imposter syndrome expectation of like what people might think of me or the negative things. And so kind of whenever that starts to show up in my mind, I take a step back and assess like, is this me freaking out or is this like a legitimate thing that I should be worried about? There are certain things that you don't do publicly because they'll tank your career or whatever. But then also I am who I am, and if I don't like filter myself, I just am myself. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, but yeah, I think so we'll talk about this. And I mean, I don't know, and I'm gonna do kind of like Gaz does, where he does kind of like Gaz and Scott, where they do like daily things, like here's what happened today. So should be interesting, I think.
I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited for your first experience, and I honestly think the cool thing is, I think it's going to be a better experience than my first convention experience, because my first one was at a time where there wasn't. This is so hard, and it kind of dates me, and I guess makes me seem old to people. But it's like there was an era where like everything wasn't available on YouTube. Right. And where even Googling, like there wasn't a lot of information on certain things, especially regarding illustration and comics and graphic design. So it was a little bit of a Wild West kind of thing. And with my first convention, I literally went in blind and I just brought some books and I was just expecting that people were just going to like eat up all the books, Yeah. And I had these really nicely printed books. They were in Diamond. They were in comic shops. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And It was terrible. I mean, sales wise, it was a good experience, but I think the fact that you're going to have like a professional display, that it's going to be like a really good, I mean, I can already tell it's going to be like a pretty impressive thing when people walk up to it. That's going to help your sales a lot.
I nixed my handmade motorized signs. I spent so much time on that, but yeah, and I mean, I'm fully prepared mentally to have no sales at all, like, and completely bomb. But I also am coming to this. I'm almost 40, and I've had a career of marketing behind me. Like, I've been an art director, I've been a marketing director, I've been a director of sales and marketing, I've been a VP of production. Like, I've been around the block enough to where I know some things, and I don't know what this specific realm is like, but I mean, I've done huge conventions where the budgets are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars just to show up. And so this is definitely different, but there's a lot of stuff that I'm able to like bring to the table. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to translate.
I think it'll translate. I think I think the neat thing about art, and this is something that, you know, like I'm always reminded of on Artcasters, like next week we have the guy who did does alternative comics, not alternative comics, but alternate comics. So Peter Simeti is going to be on our channel, and I'm fascinated. I guarantee you there's probably a similar through line. Almost everyone we've interviewed on there has this common through line of like these weird kind of misconnected seeming things happening that all kind of weave together and allow you to kind of have like a very unique kind of your own path in art and in illustration. And I'm sure it's similar in anything, but it's like with this, to me, I think like this will be a cool way where all that marketing experience and stuff like that can actually kind of add to your art experience and all these other experiences and kind of congeal together to kind of, you know, even and once again, if it's not a successful convention, that still doesn't make it not a success, because you've also like learned that from marketing. It's like, you know, a lot of the times in marketing, you learn how to effectively market by having a lot of failed marketing, and then you're like, oh, it's like this works, these things didn't, and you know, so I think it'll be really cool. I'm excited for you.
And I've also seen people assume that you can cross industry boundaries and know what you're doing because you knew what happened in a different industry. And that's not true. You know, I saw people come from, you know, X industry into the music industry and say, well, I know what I'm doing because I was successful in concrete or something. And it's like, some of that applies for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also a completely new ballgame. So that's why I have kind of both thought processes. Is I'm not going to go in thinking I've got experience, so I'm going to be super successful, having never done it in this situation and in this industry. And so that's my hesitation. I'm not coming in blind, but I am coming in new. So there's going to be I don't think you're going to be able to say that was a success or that was a failure, because I think I'm going to have hundreds of successes and hundreds of failures in 3 days, and I'm just going to catalog what worked and what didn't work. So that's really just it.
And you're going to learn and get better too. So the cool thing is, if you have if you, like, let's say everything sold or something, then you'll learn what to stock the next time. Right. You know, I'm excited for you. I've never had a negative convention experience. Even my most negative convention experience was a positive experience. Like my first comic convention, I met Art Spiegelman, like, and like one-on-one, had a conversation with him for like 30 seconds, you know, which wasn't a big deal, except that I was brand new in comics.
Right.
And it was Art Spiegelman, and it's like, and not like,
that's a big deal.
Not like a, yeah, because I'm like literally like standing here selling stuff. I kind of turn around, and his back is like, he's literally like, right. His back's behind me. So we had this like every once in a while exchange throughout the entire show, and I was like, this is crazy. Like that's and that's not unique to me. Like, you know, that's pretty much across the board. Everybody I know tends to, if you love comics, you're going to love boothing at a comic convention. Yeah. And if you don't love boothing at a comic convention, you know, I do know a few people who do it, who hate it, but I kind of suspect from a lot of their personalities that like they'd hate anything. Like it's that kind of, you know, the sort of personality that'll be displeased with anything. So right. Yeah. I think anyhow, it's cool that we're actually, I think this is our topic, but that makes me really excited. It's fun to see. It's fun to hear also your transparency about it, because it does remind me of prepping for conventions and the kind of excitement. There's a little bit of anxiety, but but overall, it's like, man, the cool thing too is like it's a great way to kickstart forcing yourself to have product. Right. You know, so it's like
I mean, whatever I don't sell. I mean, I've got 25 of each design, right? Yeah. And then I've got on the bigger ones, I did 5 a piece, and I might regret this because I just couldn't decide, so I just didn't thin it out that much, you know. But I mean, on everything, I've got my information on the back, and so, you know, at the bottom, and so no matter what they get, my stickers haven't come yet. And I talked to the guy, and he's like, sorry, I'm a little behind. I was like, well, I'm leaving soon. And he's like, okay, I'll overnight them. So I kind of expected those today. They didn't come. So hopefully they come tomorrow, because I'm leaving Tuesday, and Monday is a holiday. So
oh man,
if they come late, because I ordered them a couple of weeks ago, like over, 2 weeks ago. And so... And he said he's got like a 5-day turnaround. Anyway, so if that doesn't come, I blew $280 on something that I don't have a venue to sell it, which is kind of sucks. So
I suspect he's probably pretty serious about overnighting them, especially if he did it in email. Right. It's funny. I just dealt with a printer like just at through my work, who was. They were delaying on getting a second proof after some changes based on like color, just simple color corrections and stuff. Mm-hmm. And the second proof hadn't come. So I was like, it's like Friday. We have a 3-day weekend. So like that's a mass delay. Right. And I'm like, I need those proofs. So they're like, oh, I just assumed you got them. Well, I'm about to head on vacation. This was the rep I was dealing with for this printer. I'm heading off on vacation, but I'm going to CC management so they, you know, make sure this gets through. And I still didn't get anything back. And so, and this is a little tip for people when you're dealing with printers. So what I did was, before dealing with this printer, like I know the boss of the sales reps there. I know the owner, his email address. And I know a couple other people who are pretty high up their email addresses. So all I did was respond to her, CCing everybody, saying, cool, I hope you enjoy your vacation. Just to be clear, if there's a delay in delivery on this, I hope you guys understand that that's on you and that you'll have to accommodate and make it happen by the delivery date. And if there's a late proof, you know, that's not on me. And I was like, I leave at 5 o'clock today, and I'm not checking my email till Tuesday. Right. So, you know, and what was funny was like I send that email, and I was so polite, but it's just like, you know, making, right. And within 5 minutes I had updated proofs, and I had there was also spot UV involved with it too, and I got the proof for the spot UV finally, and I'm like, it's 5 minutes literally after doing that. So it's, you know, in business there is a little bit of truth to the whole it's not personal, it's business, because a lot of salespeople will kind of sugar it and try to, you know, So it sounds like very similar situation with you, where it's like when you spell it out, like, hey, dude, like I have to have this.
Yeah, and he was super cool about it.
Yeah,
was just,
I'd imagine he'll overnight it.
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't like the lack of communication. I don't like being left in the dark.
Oh yeah,
and so I just like checked in, didn't hear from him, so I checked in the next day, and then I heard back, and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just buried." I was like, "Well, that's fine. I'm not mad, but I'm checking. Like I don't need it a week early, but I do need it before I leave." So,
yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, you'll get it, I'm sure. Yeah, that's the thing to also keep in. Well, this isn't for you, but this is just for more for like people who are watching. The other thing to keep in mind when dealing with printers and stuff is like people tend to take pride in doing a good job.
Yeah.
And so if you play things on that from that angle too, it helps keep people kind of wanting to please you and wanting to get stuff up. If you're kind of a jerk about it, like people won't. But if you like the way you're approaching that, it sounds like the right way. So I'm sure you'll get them. Because especially if he said he'd overnight them, like what, yesterday or today?
I mean, he said that, and I don't know when. It kind of sounded like I'd have to go back and check the emails. I honestly, because my sleep schedule has inverted, I'm emailing a lot of this. Like I'll wake up, check my phone, send an email, I'll go back to sleep, or feed the kid, and then go back to sleep. And so,
dude, that's amazing.
A little groggy in between all of it.
No, I relate to that as well. The weird schedule, because when Benji was from about newborn to 3, I was kind of doing the primary caregiving, just in the sense of like my wife had like a more like long-term job, and I was doing like adjuncting, and so I was at home a lot more, and so I was on a similar schedule, and like it did this weird. It just does this weird thing to your brain, and it doesn't help that my own personality is inclined to like super late nights,
right?
And to really dislike mornings. So and I was freelancing on top of that, so it's like I didn't have a reason to be like, up at like 8 in the morning or something.
Yeah, like exactly. And that's kind of because I'm in between semesters, and so I'm like, I don't want to sleep for 2 hours, so I'll just stay up and work, and then I'll feed him again when he wakes up again. And slowly it's gone from me going to bed at 3 to me going to bed at 3:30, and like last night I went to bed at like 6 in the morning. And so I don't know if like tonight I'm gonna just stay up till 7 and then just be like, screw it, I'm just gonna stay up because I need to flip my schedule back.
Yeah.
So I might just like intentionally pull an all-nighter so that I can go to bed at like 11 o'clock at night and like be tired and fall asleep. I don't know.
Such a hard transition too. But dude, dadding is hard. That's some hardcore stuff, man. Like with a kid that age, I'm impressed, man. That your stuff looks great.
Thanks.
You're prepped for your convention. You put in a lot of hard work. A lot of it's the boring work where you're like doing like pre-press stuff, and you're like, but. But it's worth it, because like that pre-press paid off. Like it doesn't look like your postcards look really beautifully designed.
Yeah, and every single one of these didn't fit the 5x7 because I wasn't like thinking. So like, it wasn't just like I had to crop it out because some of them, like you can't crop it because you miss a vital part of the illustration.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having to like clone stamp backgrounds and like it's just way more work than it should be. It's just man. Like, and like this one, I'm still bummed about this one because like she has like legs, except the floor is this like 1-point perspective tile grid, and I needed more on the side, and so I was like so tired by the time I got to this one. I was just like, I'm just gonna cut her legs off because I just didn't want to like redo the floor grid down here to like extend.
Yeah.
So
I think it looks fine. It looks fine. It only bugs you because you're familiar with the legs that are missing.
Yeah.
Don't say that at the convention.
Right. No, I still remember I went to a convention and I was talking to a guy, Ryan Otley. I own some of his artwork. Awesome guy, great illustrator. He did Invincible forever. He's drawn Spider-Man now. And it's really cool. He's like the coolest guy. So don't feel bad saying this because it's not really that negative. But like he had this print and it was he did it on like photo paper, so it was like super high gloss, grainy kind of paper. It looked really nice. But then he's like, as I was looking at it, he told me, he's like, yeah, I kind of printed that really fast, and I really should have like done like a levels adjustment because some of the blacks aren't kind of where I want them. And like Ryan Otley can say that, and people are still going to buy his stuff because he's amazing. But I didn't want that print anymore. Like, I was like, yeah, he told me what's wrong with it. I'm going to buy some. Yeah. So I bought a bunch of original pages. I still spent hundreds of dollars at his booth, but I always think back on that, like, and I saw him a couple times later. He still had a stack of that same print, and I was like, oh, dude, it's weird. But you paid money for it, and people still buy it. It's fine.
Yeah, maybe that's why that stack's still there. It's like every time somebody's like, "Oh, I'll take that," it's like, "Yeah, really?" Because the blacks are a little off on it. Right? Like, maybe that's like a loss leader. Like, it's like, "Oh, dude, you don't want to buy it." Like the blacks are just. Yeah. That's actually. Oh man, I'm gonna think about that for maybe a future. Have like a. One product to just gain the trust of the consumer where you're just like, just
don't buy this one.
I wouldn't really buy that one because I didn't write that very well. You should buy this because I wrote it better.
This one's much better. Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, I feel like this was a good discussion. Yeah. I'm pumped for seeing like all the product and the print because I'm just by nature, I just love print. I think most of our viewers and kind of crew like print, so
yeah,
it's
cool.
Exciting to see.
It's always cool to see stuff in print. I mean, like I've been looking at this stuff on screens forever, and then I've done a bunch of these as stickers, but they're like little 3-inch stickers. But to like see it like huge it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. And you're gonna have that stuff online eventually too, to sell.
Yeah,
if any of it's left,
Yeah, so. I mean, whatever's left, I'll still do giveaways and sell if people are interested.
Nice.
And stuff like that. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Oh, well, I forgot the other thing that I did. This is.
Oh yeah.
Or do you want to do another art check? Because I forgot to mention a whole thing. I reached out to. A lit agent who loved the style of work that I did and my artwork and my writing, but for a number of reasons said that he couldn't get that current book published. But he said do another one, and I'll definitely work with you on that. And so I'm still not certain if I'm going to go with him. I really like him, and he seems pretty solid, but I've got a couple other people I'm going to go after. Anyway, long story short, I came up with an awesome idea for a book, and I wrote it. And so, like, everything is done, paged out and everything, and so now all I have to do is, like, draw it. And it was one of those things where, like, I worked on it a couple weeks ago and got, like, the basic idea and got it out, and then, like, you just got into one of those moods where you just, like, it hit you, and I wrote the whole thing in like less than an hour, and I've read it to a number of people, and I think it's pretty good. So I'm pretty excited about it. So that's my next big project. So
if that's a development, like you furthered kind of the rough plot that you were talking about a couple weeks ago. I think it was off camera, but that is really exciting, and I'm kind of eager to check it out because
I'll send you.
That was a really cool. Yeah, that was a good concept.
Yeah,
like just really strong, like one of those moments, which I think when you do design and illustration and you have those moments, that's okay. We got to put that. We have like a Trello board of ideas for topics. That's a really good one. Just concept. Yeah. Creating concepts and the whole. I have a whole theory on concepts and stuff, and we could get into that, but when you get a good concept, it's a really beautiful moment, I think, as a writer or a illustrator. Not that concepts are unique, but getting a strong concept does like 80% of the work. And then, when you have a strong concept, it's like, it's literally just at that point kind of following the muse and doing the work, and you end up with great stuff.
Yeah,
So.
and when you get a concept that fits your voice, it's so much. Everything is so much easier because I feel like I love the work that I did on the Tongue-Cut Sparrow book, which I wrote and illustrated. But the writing was laborious and forced. I mean, I think it's good, but it didn't. At no point in time did anything flow or just like spill out of me like I had like this stroke of inspiration. Like it was work. The writing was work the whole time, which is fine and also works a lot. But like sometimes, rarely, you just hit that perfect storm.
Yep.
And it just kind of it flows, and then you check it a couple days later and you run it by a few people and it's still good. That's really cool, and I feel like projects like that are so much easier to work on. Not that there's less,
for sure.
Not that there's less work, but there's less fighting yourself.
Yeah, so. No, like those are the moments that you kind of show up and do the work every day for, you know. So concepts are a good topic. Okay. I did want to mention before we close out and stuff that like Marshall was like doing commissions like donkey jaw projects, and I had him do a commission, and he had like this crazy discounted rate. So I was like, I want to see you draw one of my characters. So pick a character and draw it. And he did this like awesome
that's rad.
Piece of like my kid character, like as Indiana Jones.
That is way cool.
And, I just like I wanted to give Marshall a shout out. Like that, like literally opening my mailbox today, I got that, and I got this for supporting Jeff's comic, which I was stoked on.
Yeah, I got mine today too. That Berserker Knot postcard.
Yeah, and between just getting those two like pieces of art by friends of mine online in this community that's kind of built around like the 100 days. It's just been so exciting and cool. And I'm really excited about people joining in on the art checks too, because it's just, it's so fulfilling and selfishly fulfilling, totally like, to just like, you know, see all these people like constantly tackling art. Like even you, Cory, like watching you kind of build this whole thing is so inspiring for me. And it gives me fuel for you know, like hitting this crazy project of mine and actually getting it done. Yeah. And I love communities like that. I love building communities like that, and I really like you know, the fact that we have this thing that's just kind of keeping us accountable to kind of staying with creating stuff. It's just it's been really cool. So anyhow, thanks to Marshall and Jeff for the art. It's always cool, and it's awesome to see you guys keeping on, because it's a hard life being an artist.
I believe Marshall's commissions are still open. Is that right? He's still taking commissions?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would scope it out on like either through YouTube or like just leave him a comment on his YouTube page, or just check him out on Facebook, and I'm sure you can.
Because I've seen a bunch of the stuff that he's done in these commissions, and he's not phoning these in, and they're pretty good. And then Jeff Lafferty's book has funded on Indiegogo, but you can still purchase it. So I don't believe he's gone to print yet. And so he's got it in that, I think it's called In Demand on Indiegogo. He's got it in that section where you could even if you missed the campaign, you could still in and kind of pre-order the book. So check those two out. So okay, so are we gonna do tomorrow or Sunday, or because
I kind of like the idea of doing tomorrow. Sunday's gonna be tough. Monday's gonna be even tougher, because like we're tracking a song, and then like right after the song we're doing like a thing at Benji's grandma's. And so it's like it's kind of gonna be like a little bit like back in the days of like Stax recording, where it's like a band would just have to nail it like in one take. That's pretty much the situation where we're gonna just go in, knock it out, and leave, hopefully.
Cool. That's awesome.
But so Saturday works as long as you're cool with Saturday.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some work done tonight. So it's been a long, crazy week, but I'm actually really excited to hit the drawing.
You're hitting that page hard. Like, you've made a lot of progress on that, and that's a ton of ideas to draw in such a small space as well.
Yeah, it's a little like, it's funny. One of my biggest battles and biggest struggles is just trying to kind of keep optimistic, because there is a frustration, I think, when you're working on books and you love books and you love making personal projects or personal art. There is a frustration with anything kind of preventing it from getting done.
Right.
And you know, like, everybody out there is like that like, everybody like supports like the 48-hour art check and stuff, like, and does that kind of thing. Or most people in our community like know that struggle, where it's like it can be very frustrating and disheartening just to see the pace that it's taking to get done.
Sure.
And know that if you had this window, how much quicker, like, if I literally had a clear 8-hour day, I could easily have done this page, you know?
Yeah.
So trying to kind of stay patient and not gun it, because there's that temptation too, where it's like, well, I don't have that 8 hours, so I'm just going to knock it out. And trying to kind of take my time and do it right, but also be patient with myself with the time that I do have, the little windows. Yeah. That's a real, I mean, you know, you're in a similar position where it's like, I'm sure if you had like a perfect window of time, like most of us, you know, but to me, that's one of my things, is like trying to remember to kind of be patient with it. Cause I'll feel like I'm not really producing a lot, but then, you know, I'll run into a friend I haven't talked to in a while, and they're like, "You're always drawing." And I'm like, "Am I really?" You know? So it's you know, but it's, I think, like, what you, even with your convention preparations, it's cool to see, because doing these 48-hour art checks really shows how that kind of happens, where it's like there's a chunk and a chunk and a chunk, and the next thing you know, you have all this stuff.
Yeah, it all showed up on one day.
Yeah, and I think were it not, we not have like the transparency of the art check or whatever, it would just be like, where does this guy come from? Like, you know, he's just got like this massive amount of stuff, and it's like, no, it's like a lot of work and a long slog, and you find those windows. Yeah. Anyhow, sorry, rambling, but all right,
that's good.
Cool.
Okay, so if you want to check out Josh's stuff, then you can go to quarterlystories.com and see the pages leading up to this. And the last couple of pages have been actually really dense technical pages, and they're really interesting to see develop. And so if you've been watching that at all, go check those out. And you can see them on Quarterly Stories, or you can see them on Tapas. If you want to check out my work, you can go to corykerr.com. And within the next 3 or 4 days, I'll be posting a video on how you guys can win one of every print that I've printed. And I'm also going to be giving away one of every sticker that I've done. And so it's like a big, giant kind of giveaway, where I'm giving away like upwards of, you know, like retail price would be a lot. I don't know. I haven't figured it out. But like, you know, cost-wise, it's not a ton to me, but retail price, it's a ton to you. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, everybody likes free stuff, or if you want to come see me at my booth, I will be TE33, Teal 33 at FanX in Salt Lake next week. And
so exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. And a special thanks to No Saboteurs for letting us use the music for the intro music. And they've got a Facebook page that you can check out. And they will be recording tracks and playing live. And it seems like they've got more and more gigs all the time. So make sure to check them out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, actually.